There's a picture you're going to see of my brother, co-founder of Troll Lord Games, Davis, who his face is all banged up and whatnot. That comes from 2004, 2005. He and Mark Sandy were on the road hitting conventions every 2 weeks or so. They were at a convention, I believe, in Memphis, Tennessee, Mid-South Con, I think is what it's called. So they're at a hotel. They're probably imbibing a little bit. I know they are. They're in the parking lot. Smoke break, be my guess. I wasn't there. I'm getting this story secondhand. So anyway, so there's a fence, like a 12-foot high fence with 4 strands of barbed wire, kind of in that Y shape that you see, the barbed wire running up the length of it. And Davis thought that he needed to get to the gas station on the other side of that, and instead of going around, he would go over. Story time. There's a picture you're going to see of my brother, co-founder of Troll Lord Games, Davis, who his face is all banged up and whatnot. That comes from 2004, 2005. He and Mark Sandy were on the road hitting conventions every 2 weeks or so. They were at a convention, I believe, in Memphis, Tennessee, Mid-South Con, I think is what it's called. So they're at a hotel. They're probably imbibing a little bit. I know they are. They're in the parking lot. Smoke break, be my guess. I wasn't there. I'm getting this story secondhand. So anyway, so there's a fence, like a 12-foot high fence with 4 strands of barbed wire, kind of in that Y shape that you see, the barbed wire running up the length of it. And Davis thought that he needed to get to the gas station on the other side of that, and instead of going around, he would go over. So he goes up the fence and gets tangled into the barbed wire. He's all messed up in the barbed wire. He crawls over the barbed wire. It does his leg a really good number as he falls forward into the enclosure with his foot and boot hung up in the barbed wire. He slams and hits his face into the fence and then slides down on the inside of the enclosure slowly as the barbed wire gives way or his pants tear or whatever, and he smashes into the ground and busts up his face. That Monday morning when they got back Sunday, that Monday morning he came walking into the office and I saw his face was all mangled. He's limping real bad. His hips hurt. His ankle's all wrapped up. It's bleeding still just a little bit. Had blood on the bandage, probably blood from the evening before. But I immediately did the appropriate thing and snapped a picture of it. So that's the story of Davis's torn up face, 2003, 2004. Story time. There's a picture you're going to see of my brother, co-founder of Troll Lord Games.
Troll Lord Games, join the fray.
Are we going live?
We are. We are live. Hello, everybody.
You have this remarkable ability to speak moments after show. It's like, all right, no talking now.
Oh.
Every stream you do it. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. It's just a pattern I noticed.
Join the fray.
That's right, Chris. How are you, buddy? Good to see everybody out there, all the early crew and everything else. You do have a Dr. Pepper that's been purchased from you by Lando. I saw that come across like first thing.
I need to go get that.
Yeah.
Wait,
Time to behave,
Priorities.
Davis. It's live according to Sparky. And Sparky, just so you know, Davis will be going to Gasville again this year. If you want to wander up that way and give him shit in a game. All right. Give him hell.
Sting.
Thank you, Lando.
Speaking of Gasville,
Hey, Rob.
Ken and I were wanting to do another business this morning, so I came up with the idea of strip mining, right?
That's been done. That's not a new idea, I'm afraid.
That's true.
Oh,
It's
my
not-
God.
No,
Did I not just
Guys, I came up with this great idea.
Oh, my
Strip
God.
mine?
Hole in the
We need
ground.
to set up a
We
mine.
can
got
get
a
it out
headache.
and sell it. I call it coal mining.
Yeah, and then I was doing research on minerals in Arkansas, and it's like, Arkansas has been stripped out. It's gone. All the minerals are gone.
Oh,
All we
yeah.
make is dust anymore.
Everything is gone.
All right, well, I'm Chuck Cumbo, community director for Troller Games, I guess, operations dude, whatever. And we're here to talk about whatever, but primarily we have a question up in chat. If you guys want to look at it, give us some of your answers during the chat, during the stream, and I'll try to single you out and comment on you. Of course, give your regular questions too if you want, because I know it's hard to get everybody together one day like this. But the topic today is basically if you have a great memory from the past of you either playing in a game or running a game that keeps coming up. And then toward the end of the stream, I'll go around and ask everybody here and we'll see what they have to say. All right.
Can I interject something real quick?
You can. One moment. Let me finish my thought. And we also have a giveaway going on. So if you'd like to follow us and give us an exclamation point raffle in the chat, you can win one of these giveaways we're giving away from the store. For you folks that are over on YouTube and Facebook, there's a link. You can just join us over here. Unfortunately, we can't do it over there at the same time. I wish we could, but we can't. But you're welcome to come on over and join, and then you can go back to whatever medium you prefer. Hey, Heather, how's it going? We just started. You're not late. It's great. I'm going to let Davis finish his first thing. And any questions you guys throw in the chat, just like DM John did there, I'll put them in the thing. And then when we get a second, I'll hit somebody up with the proper question. All right? Continue, Davis.
Okay, now my interjection was you have to write it down on a piece of paper. I'm going to write mine down on a piece of paper. All right? Just one word. And we're going to see if it's the same thing.
That is excellent. Because you two.
The battle, yeah.
Oh, yeah. I can do that.
That's awesome. Because these two have played so much together over the years. This is really what I'd like to hear right here. This is good. I just wonder if it's going to have the word Kane in it. That's all I want to know.
There's a very memorable one with Kane, but I'll almost guarantee you who he's.
Oh, you think there's a more memorable one?
Guess what Steve's is.
It's got something to do with the river. We all know that.
No.
So that'll be Davis's memorable one, so that we don't overlap.
Davis, you've been challenged. Jeremy has a better back scratcher than you.
Yeah,
he's got an actual sword. He kills himself on stream.
It's razor sharp, cuts through his back. My spine.
That's pretty good.
At the airport, headed back west from Orlando, close up in. Oh, it's good to see you, Dardian. Wow, you're traveling, aren't you? That's good.
Well, Chuck, before we dive in, what was the question?
It is the actual question.
Battle.
Is there an event or battle? It could be an event that continues to be.
That someone in the chat had a question.
Oh yeah.
Oh, so John said, "Would you guys, Steve? Oh, it's actually to you, Steve. Would you guys ever consider giving us a look inside the warehouse of books and where all your order fulfillment happens?"
Yes, actually, we are in the process, at the very beginning of the process, of making a series of 2 or 3 videos that will kind of give an inside look at everything in TLG. Grace is heading that up, but Grace and Zach can't do anything until I've got written on my to-do list today, write screenplay, which is just to make call shots for them, which I failed to do. But as soon as I get that done, that'll go to them, and it will be an inside look at both the print shop, the mail room, and we're going to bother the crew about little videos from where they work and their environments and put all that together. So yes, absolutely. Hopefully soon. After Gary Con, I'm guessing.
I don't think you want to see my room.
No, you don't want to see mine either, except filled with nothing but gaming crap.
That's what everyone wants to see.
You can see
That's what they want to see.
now.
Yeah, you can see Davis has already got his full open house. Look at that.
See, there's an unmade bed there. There's pants on a pot. There's a pile of pants on the floor over there.
She's working on a montage for Trollord Games. I gathered as many pictures as I could.
I sent her a bunch over me.
Yeah, some of them are just of desks that we were working at, and it's just chaos everywhere. So I think that stuff's done.
Oh, that's really cool. I love seeing that old shit. I like the old videos. I treasure those. I know y'all are tired of them, but I fucking love them. Just like the one where you throw. I think Davis throws a 12-pack of Dr. Pepper at you, or you throw it at him. I don't remember which one it was. It's funny. Let's see. Valley Girl Heather says, my most memorable fight ended with Steven, interesting, drowning me in a river. Wait, it hasn't happened yet because I can't get into these games at cons. Manifesting. Well, we'll get you in a game with him. Don't worry about that. That's
fun story about playing a game with Steven at a con. I got to play in a game with Steven at Gamehole Con.
Yeah.
And I specifically took the ring of climbing and swimming.
Oh, shit.
And very interestingly, after he found that out, the adventure began with us having crossed a river. And the adventure had nothing to do with the river at all after that.
Were you like in a desert with no like cliffs or anything?
No,
trees,
no. No, the adventure took place. The adventure was just all the stuff that would have happened after we had crossed the river. He just skipped that part.
Right.
And I was like, that's very interesting.
You spoiled my fun, Jeremy.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? I think this is cool. We should all give a memory if of us who've gamed with Steve and just really grill him. Here's mine. So I've played with him a couple times, but my most memorable time was about 5 or 7 years ago, according to COVID time. I was sitting in the big game at GaryCon, and there was like 30 people in this game, or 28. It was overloaded, right? And I'm sitting back and I'm just carrying on or whatever. And he says something, and I ask him a question about a rule, right? And this is the owner of the company. Now, keep this in mind. And I know, I said, man, he's going to have this, he'll tell me something. He said, I don't know. Look that shit up. I'm running a game here. I'm telling the story. I was like, what? He says, I don't know. And I was like, what? And it blew my mind. I just thought it was really weird. And then later on, I thought, well, obviously there's other people that are involved with the company besides Steve, so.
Yeah, there's stuff in the player's handbook that, like, going through, and because we're going through we're removing open gaming license content because coming up next quarter, I think we're going to be preparing to put out the OGL free versions of our core rule books. And while I was going through the player's handbook, I was like, I didn't know half of these rules, and they're not optional rules; they're just the rules.
Right.
Like, did you know that you can move and attack on the same turn if you're only moving up to half your movement speed?
Yeah, I know that. We know that, Jeremy, because I know that because I live and breathe the rules that his brother wrote. Anyway.
Yeah, I didn't write the rules.
Did you know that you are guaranteed bonus languages if you have a high enough intelligence score?
Sure.
Yep. I didn't know that.
Oh yeah. You need to play some CNC. Let me get you a player's handbook. I'll get you a coupon.
Listen, I got like 3 versions of it. I don't even know. I will need another one. I don't need one right now.
I don't even know.
Hey, Jeremy, that movement rule too, it's actually fairly important too. With the charge, because you can take a full movement 3 times 3 with the charge.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that would be the exception.
Antiquitous says only Grape Ape was unscathed by bending the rules. It popped up on by bending the use of Tenter's floating disc. That's true. He did escape that. He's about the only one.
I should have been more strict on that.
You should.
Hey, someone asked about the store.
Yeah, I've got him here. You want to have bacon?
Could you address that?
No,
you're the man for the job.
Yeah. So let me rephrase it here. So MJ Cook says, "Will the TLG store be up and working soon?" Bake.
We're still working on it. We are aware of technical issues and are working as fast as we can to resolve them.
Well, that sounds like something you work every day.
That's a really generic professional answer, but that's the best I got.
In the meantime,
did you check to see if it was plugged up? Did you check?
Suddenly, Steve turns into one of them.
In the meantime, to fulfill your Castles and Crusades and Amazing Adventures needs, you can go to our Drive-Thru RPG page.
Yes.
Oh,
that's true.
Have you tried turning it off and on again?
So there you go. That's
Johnny
the polite
said
answer I have for all y'all.
Johnny said 2 weeks. The store will be in 2 weeks. Yeah.
No, it will not be. It'll be much sooner than that.
Since I don't understand what a DDoS attack is or a DOS attack is, really not necessarily.
Oh, that's probably not what's happening.
I think of it as like a tower defense game, where like our site or our server is like the thing you're defending, and you have little guns along the way shooting. But it's
we can discuss that later.
And you're shooting code back and forth at each other, trying to outcode each other or something. That's what I look at it like.
Well,
all right.
Not to get too off track, but Davis, you do realize that every time Scott goes into the server, he flies a virtual plane that he can take through the server, and he accesses it that way. It's like a physical library up in there. He goes in. It's like, he has little robot arms. Yeah, it's great. Scott never told you guys about that, but that's a trade secret.
So Antiquitous has another question. Then I've got a memory to share with you guys. Antiquitous says, follow up to DM John's question. Any photos of the Great Flood where many a book was lost?
That's for you, Chuck, isn't it?
I think it is for me. No, other than what the insurance company might have. I don't know what they might have. We gave them some.
That's not the kind of thing you commemorate.
Well, no, at the
Well-
time not. But I will tell you a good story about it. I ended up getting in some books from TLG back when I didn't really know them all that well, just because they knew my terrible plight. Isn't that something? It's
Yeah,
a
we
good
sent them
story,
a
isn't it?
whole. Yeah, you weren't working for the company or anything then. We
No, I
sent
just
you
walked
books.
up to the booth and Steve had a whole box ready for me.
Can-
Now,
can
looking
I-
back
can I
now,
tell
now that I work for the company, he probably just grabbed some shit and threw it in there and said, "Hey, we've got this for you, Smokey." But I'm not going to say that. Don't know 100%. I'm going to continue with the fantasy that he saved over months and grueled at getting which titles to give me, and all that stuff. But anyway,
I can tell a story about a great flood, but it's pretty it's kind of gross.
I was gonna say, Kent, the flood from your
oh Lord, here we go.
Septic story?
the pipe that burst. Yeah.
Oh gosh.
Well, there's that, but I was talking about your jar that you had.
I don't want to hear any. I don't
Oh yeah, you can.
don't want to. If it came out of a jar, I don't want to know.
I don't want to know anything
We'll
about
let
it
the
either.
chat decide if you want to hear the
Oh my
rabbit
God, they're going to say
gross
yes.
jar
How do
story.
you?
If it
Let
came out of
her
Davis's
know.
jar,
Oh God, no telling what the hell this story is. What are they saying?
Yeah.
No, they're not. They're not
That's
Taco Bell
That's
war
up to you,
stories.
Kent.
Tyler's not. That sounds like something Tyler would say. I swear. So I'm gonna share this memory with you. Then I've got another question for you. Chris Donovan in a game with Neil. Well, I think he was he just in there while ago? I thought I saw him. Maybe it was yesterday. I don't know. In a game with Neil was running. My brother was written by a giant spider. Was written by a giant spider.
probably bitten.
Oh, bitten. He's probably doing speech to text. Well, maybe not. He could be typing like me. Causes paralysis. I think it was Zane who asked, but the ruling was yes. He lost all bodily control, including shitting himself. So his character never heard the end of it. We were forever giving him shit about it. That's
Oh
interesting.
my gosh.
Poor Neil.
Nice.
That is
You know,
nice.
guys. Fun fact: the spell command, where you can compel a creature to do any one-word action. Defecate is one word.
That's true.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, a whole lot of one words just rolled through my mind, but we'll let those lie.
Oh gosh.
Let those sleeping dogs lie.
Yeah. Welcome to
Okay.
our comedy show.
That's actually a very powerful spell.
Yeah, it is. You just can't make them kill themselves.
Yeah, that's it. That's the limitation.
Which is
About.
not a very big limitation.
Yeah. No, it's a really powerful.
Cool. We got a question. This is from Commander Jace McLeod.
spell.
Interesting.
But wait,
I have to
what if
ask
they
you a
don't
question,
understand the
Jace.
word?
I'm sorry. What?
What if they don't understand the word? Are they still compelled to do it?
No, they have to understand the
I
language.
don't know what the hell they're talking about. All right, so Commander, I got to ask you a question. You've got CMDR in front of your name. I'm just curious why. We have another good friend in the community by the name of Commander Pete with the same exact thing in front of his name. I don't know if there's a relation or not, but I'm just really curious. Pete lives over. He's from England, but he lives in Belgium. Yeah. Anyways, your question is: are there any? Good evening to you as well. Are there any plans in the pipeline for more Codex books in the near future?
Yes, absolutely. We are actually overhauling the entire line, but the next new one that'll be different than the ones we've got now will be I can't remember the name of it, but it's the Finnish mythologies. Finnica, is it Codex Finnica? Is that what he named it? I can't.
That's what he said. Because
That's what he said. Okay, so it's
Finland did
Codex
not
Finnica.
exist. Finland did not exist during the time of Rome, so they wouldn't have had a word for it.
Yeah, and he was very specific on the it's not the lapse. I can't remember who it is that he's doing that thing. And he's also in the process of overhauling Germania.
Oh, really?
Someday
that's right. I
we will
remember
stop
talking about that.
overhauling things, and we'll just be putting new things out.
That's what Jason and I were just talking about 30 minutes
Yeah.
ago.
That's the
Seems
that's
like
the
every
goal.
stream we just say we're overhauling this entire line of products.
Well,
It's going to be all overhauled.
Well,
Golly.
the sad thing is, this is all like it popped last year because I know Mel when we first brought you on, right? Our
Mhm.
schedule was pretty much it was a workable, good open year-end schedule, and we had it all laid out. And then everything went sideways because of the TSR
Yep.
and something else happened.
TSR's been out of business.
Wizards of the
Whatever.
No, it was the OGL.
Yeah, the whole OGL fiasco and everything like that. and then everything went on whack. And in the meantime, our books, like those codex, have been in print for how long? 75 years, almost 250 years.
Quite a while, yes.
And it's time. They're just the print runs running out. And
1908, the first printing of Codex Classic.
I got a migraine. Y'all
you
making me
know,
laugh.
fun fact, Jeremy, Aristotle edited it.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's good. That was pretty good. That's pretty good.
They were playing CNC back in.
Yes.
They were.
Hey,
they were.
Listen, Alexander the Great's kids, they had characters like you wouldn't believe. The stories are hilarious in the old texts.
Oh, yeah.
True, it's true.
All right, where are we here? So memories. Any more questions before we get back into the memories of things? No, but share your memories with us. I want to know them. I'm going to go ahead and give my first. I'm going to share my memory first because I think it's pretty memorable.
Plato had a great CNC blog back in the day. I had to get that one out.
Anyways,
He called it Caves and Creativity. That was his blog.
y'all are
This is so
terrible.
lame. Why is it so funny?
Yeah, because
But he didn't go by Plato. He was like, I'm a shadow. His moniker was, I'm a shadow on a wall.
Yeah.
All right, Chuck, you're going to have to mute Davis and Jeremy so you can get your story out.
Yeah, they're muted now. I didn't mute Bake. He doesn't. I don't have to worry about him. And Mel's doing excellent. So see, watch to it. Watch Davis. He knows he's muted. I'll unmute you. Fine. Whatever. All right. So my story is I don't even know what year this was. I'm gonna say it was AD&D. It was probably, I don't know, what's it, 1980 or something, right? Maybe. No, I was running the game. That was before. Yeah, that was right around the time I had the coup. So about 82. And it was just a homebrew game. We're just playing. And my guys are all playing evil characters, the evil campaign, all right? And at this point in time, they were outside a city that had declared martial law. They were at war with another country. These guys were back near it in a forest. Well, another one of my buddies in the group had went to second shift, so he could no longer play with the group. So what we tried to do was, as you do growing up with these creative games, you come up with creative ways to play, right? So he would come over and play a session with me, and I would intermix it with their session. And he decided he wanted to mess with the group a lot. He burned one of the wizard's spell books, snuck in because he was a high-level thief, snuck in and stole the spell book, and then burned it, left it where they could find it on the trail about an hour or two down the road from where they were camping. So that caused a lot of problems. So he continued to stalk them for a little bit. Where they're outside this city, we're having this long argument. There's this family coming up in a wagon, and they decide they want to rob the wagon, get rid of the family, and take the wagon into the city. Right? They'll act like they're from there. So the plan goes pretty good, except that the family's got a big giant mastiff inside the wagon they don't know about. It's a closed wagon. So when they try to go in through the back, this dog comes out and eats one of them about half alive before they get untangled and do their business. Well, at this time, he's stalking them. His character has a mental problem. He's evil, but he loves families. This is something he did. I kind of played into that, knowing that. I won't lie. So he immediately gets upset, and he sneaks up and gets underneath the wagon. He's trying to figure out what to do. Well, they're out there arguing about what they want to do with this wagon, and he sends me a note. We trade notes at the table. I don't know if you guys ever did that, but we trade notes. And he traded me a note, and it said, "I'm going to put Type F poison on my dart gun, on my bow gun." Type F in AD&D was instant kill, no save, right? So he says, "I'm putting it on there, and the next person that speaks, I'm going to shoot him with it." Well, they had gotten this huge argument, and one of the guys was playing a hobbit, or a halfling, and he had gotten upset with the group, and he'd ridden off. And so I said, "Okay, guys, what are you guys going to do now?" And I said, "Chris, are you riding off for sure?" "No, I'm going to turn around." I said, "And do what?" "Well, I want to say something to him." I said, "Okay, what do you do?" "Well, I'm going to ride up and I'm going to address the group. Guys, I think we should try to get along." And then about that time, the dart hit him in the neck, and he falls over dead, right? and immediately, the priest in the group, I forget what god it was, but it was something to do with darkness. He cast a darkness spell everywhere. And then chaos ensues. And by the time it's all over with, they had killed one of the other party members as well. And the other guy had gotten away. I'll never forget that as long as I live. It was a great one. It was a good one. Anyway, that's my story. I'll go back to chat and see what's going on here as I wasn't paying attention.
Crackety Jones. How's it going, man?
Do what?
Friend of the show, Crackety Jones, is in the chat.
Oh, is Crackety here? Crackety Jones. What's up, Crackety?
Crackety
How are
Jones.
you?
He
Dude,
services
I'm
from
gonna
time to
steal
time.
these names, man. That
I like people like Johnny who changes his name. That's even better. So
I can't
I
keep
think
track
that's
of
a-
people when they do.
I think it's a band though. I meant to ask him. Anyways, so tell us about your memories, guys. We want to know about them. What does it take? Gabriel asked, "What does it take to join TLG?" To join us at the table, Gabriel, it's very simple. It's very simple. Next week, go to www.trollord.com to the store. Not now, but next week. No, I'm kidding.
Give it
That's
a day or so.
That's a good question. We Steve, that's a good question for you. How does this? You've been doing this for 25 years. This is our anniversary here, guys. Note the patch over here, right here. Wait, here? I can't point to my patch. Right there it is.
Wherever it
The
is.
other,
This
yeah,
one.
there you go.
Yeah, so 25 years. Tell me about this. This is a good question. I really like this. How have you seen your employees come and go over the years? What is there any kind of common element to that? I mean, because you don't like put out these. None of us were ever answered an ad. You know what I mean?
Right.
It seems kind of unusual if you think about it.
So, how to put a nice spin on things?
Davis actually applied.
Yeah, Davis actually applied. Well, he did get fired.
I
Yeah,
had,
he got
I had
fired.
to fire Davis at one point. So,
Oh my goodness.
everyone's been fired at one point or the other. Well, when we started, we were rather small. It was just Davis, Mac, and I. And Davis was actually a working ophthalmologist at the time and out west. And Mac was either finishing law school or just started his law practice. I was working on my PhD, so I was the one of the most free time. So I did most of just the work. Davis and Mac would do creative stuff. Mac kind of ran the company till 03, then he backed down. And then Davis, for the next, 15 years, I guess, is in and out. He writes in hotel rooms or wherever he is and shows up, then leaves, shows up, and then leaves. And I hired Todd Gray, who's a good friend of mine. He still works for us, to help me manage the company. And then eventually we hired Mark Sandy to run the print shop. Another good friend of ours, Mark and Todd and I have been gaming since the mid 80s. So that became kind of the standard. And at that point, we started hiring freelancers. And that's how most people end up working for us is they come in as freelancers. Peter Bradley is a perfect example. Davis hired Peter way back when as a freelancer, and he started to produce. And over time, you could, Peter never missed Mark, and he did great work, and blah blah blah. So he eventually just kind of merged with what is Trollord Games, and that's sort of how most people that we hire, they work for us in a very limited capacity, and then
They just don't go away.
I don't know how to say this without sound, and I probably shouldn't say it, but if they work hard and are, they work hard, then they stick. And
the fit, they have to fit.
If they don't, and a lot of people working hard is not something that they do, and for what whatever.
Well, it's not just that.
Whatever
Right?
path you want to take.
It's not just that, right? Because like someone can work really, really, really hard, but they have to be able to
Be
I mean, this in the
dynamic.
nicest of ways.
Be
They have to
dynamic.
be able
Dynamic.
to deal
Yes.
with how this company's run, because every company is run differently.
Yeah. Now let me tell you.
Yes, no, people will pull their hair out if they tried to work for us, and they didn't realize how we work.
Yeah.
Look how
Scott-
bald I am. Look at me. I'm bald.
Yeah,
I don't know what you're talking about. I'm thriving. I still have all my hair.
Yeah. Mel gets it. Running any small business, my wife's got a business too, is insanely. You've got to be very reactive. It's not like these board meetings where they've got 7 years of plans, and I've got 49,000 people working for me.
Right. That'd be
It's
awesome.
a very reactive
We're
community.
just trying to get to
And it's a perfect
April.
example.
Tomorrow.
An absolutely perfect example. And this stuff happens more often than people realize. But what Scott's having to deal with, suddenly out of the blue, I'm told that orders, that sales are down, and simultaneously Chuck's telling me something's wrong with the website. Bacon's already working on the website, and it's suddenly everything is interrupted. Right, the whole shebang is interrupted. So things that we were doing are now stopped. Grace has been interrupted for the last 2 days. She's just been trying to get a link off of the website. She can't get it.
Ridiculous. You can't do
So
that.
it's things like that make it seem more chaotic than it is, and you've just got to be able to, if you're working for a small business, you've got to be able to react very, very quickly. And some people respond to that very well.
Right.
Some people don't respond to that, and that's perfectly fine. But yeah, I think basically people who have, and Jeremy's the perfect example. I think 6 months ago, I said, Jeremy, I need like 5 hours a week. And he way excelled that. And I said, we can bump you up to what, 10, I said, or 15. Then I just don't even ask.
It's like every week we added 5.
Yeah, it's just
I feel like.
very, very quickly.
Yeah, but, okay, I can't even remember. Jeremy, what was the first project you worked on?
I edited the NPC Almanac.
And how
That
did we
trash.
yeah, okay, that's right. How did we contact you on that?
I had previously submitted an adventure module,
Yes.
and then I had just been around, and
It was
then
me pushing Steve.
Well, I had
Face
messaged.
it.
Oh my god, I'm forgetting his name.
Tim.
I had messaged Tim.
Oh,
Okay.
it was.
And I had been like, "Hey, I have experience editing. Is there anything?"
And we needed editors.
You guys needed an editor, so
yeah.
He made the connection, and then I guess.
But you edited. That was like 2 years before you were hired, or a year and a half, or something.
Yeah. So there was others.
It's been a long time. Jeremy's been doing off and on work for a long time.
Yeah, there was other stuff too after that I don't remember.
Yeah, and I can't remember what it was when I remember talking to Ken about it. I said Jeremy's doing really, really good work on this, and we need to give him some more stuff.
Yeah.
And then as soon as Ken took over, it was a non-ending shit show of stuff going onto your desk.
Steve, I got a question for you, Steve.
Peter doing it. It's me and Peter doing it, and Jeremy. And I don't want to sound like a bonehead, but well, the first thing when Chuck said maybe we should hire Jeremy, I said, Jeremy, what kind of software are you using? And you said InDesign. I said, okay, that's the first.
That's the first hurdle right there. Yeah.
Because now there will be 3 of us, me, Peter, and Jeremy, that can work in InDesign.
I got the full Adobe suite.
I got a question for you, Steve. I got a question for you. So one of your ex-employees came to you with a printed application and trying to get a job and a resume, right? His family sold fireworks. You know who that was?
Joe Dirt.
He looks like Joe Dirt. He looks like Joe Dirt. He does look like Joe Dirt.
That is not what I expected to come out of your mouth. I'm going to be honest.
Made me think of that fireworks scene in Joe Dirt. Where he's going, what is he? You got the what? I don't know any fireworks.
Yeah, he's on the reservation or whatever, near the reservation or something.
Do you know who that was?
Husker Davies and Husker Dallas.
I have no idea who you're
Rick Motel.
Tyler Moe. Yeah.
Oh, Tyler.
Yeah.
Dude, I'll hire Tyler in a heartbeat. A heartbeat.
All right, got a question for you guys. This will probably be. I know you guys know the answer to this. Probably it would be Dave. Obviously, it won't be us. How did you come up with the name Troll Lords?
So it's actually we were at Vino's talking about. I think it was the second meeting, and Mac had a list. I've got it around here, so we had a list of a whole bunch of companies. Now we made a mistake calling it Troll Lord, but I can't.
In hindsight, yeah.
Yeah, and I'll explain why in a second. But essentially, Troll Lord. Yeah, Troll Lord is in the big game that went into creating the Codex of Aaron. The Troll Lord is the wizard that they had been fighting for so many years. So it seemed to be kind of a cool idea to take that out, put it as a company name, and call it game. So I don't think it was Mac that suggested that Troll Lord.
The game. Troll Lord is not a troll.
Wait, the picture, the monster is. The monster sure as hell. Well, it's
there
kind
is
of,
a Troll Lord monster, but so if you look at Nulak his den, who's Trigal, the wizard. One of his monikers is the Troll Lord because he commanded an army of trolls.
Oh, okay.
It's the guys when we were playing that game in the 80s and 90s. He had a whole army of trolls, and he was called the Troll Lord. So that's where that came from. In retrospect, we should have named the company with an A because in those days there was a gigantic 500-page catalog.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
The distributors and retailers got each month to go through. And everyone that had A sounding companies did it a little bit. But by the time you get to the T's, man, you're so tired.
See,
that is part of why Amazon succeeded.
Yeah.
Because on Yahoo, they would have affiliated businesses on the main page, and Amazon was right at the top of that list.
And see, here I thought you were advocating for Trollards. I didn't realize what you were saying. It completely makes sense now.
Sounds like dullards.
So none of us had business experience or any business degrees or business classes. I dropped macroeconomics, so we had no idea.
And we,
I have a-
and
I
we
have a
had
minor
no
in
idea how to
business. I don't know anything.
alphabetize anything.
I don't have
so
anything
we're
from it
just
that I
like,
learned.
It was all shooting from the hip.
All right. Well, so
Colors.
Mel, give me your best memory.
Yeah.
Give me your best memory. There's got to have something you're always telling people about. There's got to be a good game in
It was
there.
pretty much downhill since I was born.
yeah, the old alliance kind of.
Yeah, so mine was it was a glorious bait and switch. Probably the most impressive one I've ever seen. You see, Davis was like, "Hey, let's make some character sheets." And then Steve appears out of nowhere like a final boss and says, "Hey, you do art, right? Great. Here's a pile."
Yeah, and I think I texted you just yesterday and said, "Are you ready for more?"
Yes, you did.
We
No,
just
but
got
okay,
a
but for
we
a
just got a
serious,
raid in real
bit-
quick, man. I just want to
Holy
say hi to
crow.
everybody.
Ooh.
Come on in, Raiders. Welcome in. We've got a giveaway going on. Exclamation point raffle. Give us a follow. Good to see everybody. Sorry to interrupt you, Mel. Finish your story. I want to hear it. So.
Nope, you're okay.
Okay.
So for the serious part of the story of an event that I remember and recall, it's one of my favorite sessions I've run. Took players into a fort trying to recover an artifact. And they started off great, doing subterfuge, spy work, sneaking into this place, stacked to the nines with guards and cultists. They get down into the lower sub levels, kill a boss. Then they get their way back up and they infiltrate a meeting. And it was at that moment that they decided to throw everything caution into the wind. So a player decided to open up with a fireball in a room full of mages. And well, then they began the rest of the evening was just full of them trying to escape with their lives. And it ended with one player almost dying, almost being completely thrown off the edge of this fort. And he managed to survive. It was
Did the rest of them
it was
die?
an absolutely chaotic evening.
It
No,
sounds
they
like-
actually all
sounds pretty
survived. I'm
wild.
very proud of them.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
Oh yeah, it was great. They were all descending a rope trying to get away from a wyvern and a maid. It was nasty.
My favorite
That's
is when
hard to
someone
manage
tries
as
to
a
cast
game
this.
master.
Somebody was running. What class is it that can read? It's is it thieves and rogues can read spells off spell scrolls. They have a chance, right? And we had a guy. I had a guy in the game not too long ago actually try to do that off of a fireball. He didn't understand how it worked, and he set the fireball off at his feet. It was not a good time.
Ooh.
They died.
Wait, why can
I
rogues-
will say to put a cap on that story, the thing
Yeah.
that impresses me the most about how they played it, because they were very tactical
Uh
after they split the party in half.
huh. After, right.
After the major mistake.
That's so funny. That is-
Fireball and half of them decided we're going to go on the ground floor and get out that way. The others were like, we're going to go from the balcony.
And that's a really hard thing to manage, I think.
It
Like
is.
especially like the balcony type things where you're descending by a rope. How do you
Yes.
build
Yep.
that with tension? You know, it's a really difficult for a
Oh,
GM. It's a difficult thing to
Easy.
do.
Absolutely easy. I just had the mage that was chasing them start cutting the rope. And if that player, no, seriously, if that character would have fallen from the height he was at, he would have been an instant death.
Oh, that would have been funny.
Oh,
For the
yeah.
player.
So it was by the skin of their teeth, they all
Yeah.
survived.
So,
That's-
all right. So now it's Jeremy's turn. Then I'll hit bake.
Don't hit me.
Traveler. Think about the stories. Anyway, go ahead, Jeremy. I'm not gonna hit you. You're gentle.
There was
Swords
a
and
long-running-
Chaos. Surely to God, it's something in there, right?
Oh no, it's not. It's it was an advanced Dungeons and Dragons game. I was running in Greyhawk that I ran. I started it in college, and it kept going for 4 years after. So it was like a 7-year long game. And the players had been tracking down this one in the first session of the first game. This villain had screwed them over. This bad guy had screwed them over.
Okay.
And they had been tracking him down this whole time. They had caught up to him a couple times, and he'd gotten away, and he'd been messing with them, and they've been foiling his plans. And he had these like really big Greyhawk of like world affecting schemes. And they had tracked him down. He had they figured out that he had a lair in an abandoned keep in whatever swamp that is near the free city of Greyhawk. I forget the name of it. I'm sure 15 people in the chat know. Just based on our demographics. And so they take all these precautions. They're fairly high level at this point. They take all these precautions. They bring all these items. They scout the place out. It's this keep out in the middle of this like lake. There are like lizard men sentries patrolling the top of it, and they decide to send the rogue. They teleport him to the top of the keep, right? So he looks in and he looks down and he sees that it's flooded. What is the inside of a keep? The grounds inside called? I forget. The open air inside of the wall.
The Bailey.
Sure.
Right.
The interior is flooded as well. And for whatever reason, he was also invisible. He was invisible. He was sneaking. And he decided, all right, I'm going to attack the nearest lizard man. Everybody else is 300 yards away, watching him on the edge of this parapet. And they all look at him like, are you insane? Because he's supposed to be sneaking in and infiltrating and then figuring a way to open the door so they can all sneak in together, right? Immediately, the first thing he does is he attacks a lizard man. He makes the attack, the spell wears off, the invisibility wears off. The other two lizard men that are there turn and see that there's a halfling rogue there. One of them has a trumpet, blows the trumpet, and now the entire fortress knows that he's there. And then he has like he had some kind of gem that allowed him to summon an elemental. So he throws it down, and this water elemental appears, and the entire scene just devolves into chaos. And what he didn't know was that there was an ancient black dragon submerged in the water inside the keep, which was now woken up. And it got up, and he's like, oh, this is really bad. And so he hopped on the back of the water elemental and had it glide him across to the other side. And now there's like 40 lizard men like leaping into the water after him. And the players are not their characters, the players are furious at him. Like, what were you doing? And he was like, what? He had I think he was a little high. He just thought this was just a random encounter. He did not realize that this is where the guy they had been spending 7 years tracking down was.
Oh my god,
That's awesome.
Always clears your thinking when you're just
Yeah. But I made him stick to his gun. I was like, no, you did this. And they had to flee. And the guy was alerted to their presence, and he was able to shore up his plans because he did not know that they know where his base was. And now he knew that they did. And he relocated, and he sent this dragon after them, and it was a whole mess. And the dragon wound up attacking the free city of Greyhawk.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Excellent. That's a good story. That's beautiful. He's like, what do you mean?
Oh man.
Did you
Wait,
beat him
what?
up after the game?
He had no idea.
Are
He
there
had no idea why they were
Cheetos?
sending him over there. Why
I think
they
I
were
would have
being so
taken him out to the
cautious.
wood
He
pile.
had
and just
Give me a
like-
Mountain
He had
Dew.
no clue.
What does Joe Dirt say? You just got to keep on keeping on, man.
Yeah,
Keep on, keep it on. Somebody quoted that fireworks scene in here earlier in the chat. I saw it. Big long paragraph. It's pretty funny.
I love that movie.
Oh, so we've got a memory from Tyler. In the mid-late 80s, I remember playing fast as Star Trek. Our captain and some crew were on some planet that was about to blow up. I was second in command and ordered the ship to leave. Maximum warp before leaving orbit. Our GM puts us in a wormhole, just like the one in Star Trek the motion picture. Well, that was unexpected, wasn't it, Tyler? George Field says, I can't remember the 80s. No, most of us can't. They're just sort of, it's really comic books is what it is. It's kind of a framed thought. But,
Yeah, I can't remember the 80s either.
Bake, did you ever have anybody kill themselves or die over rolling up a character in Traveler? That's what I wanted to ask you. I was curious about that because I know it's.
I have not. Somebody was maimed pretty well, but that's about as far as you get. When it in Mongoose Traveler 2E, you don't really die, but you can be maimed.
Man, that sounds a lot better. That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
My first Traveler character, John Traveler.
John.
Are you shitting me? Really?
No, that was his name, John Traveler. He died in character generation. So I didn't, he died in character creation, so I never got to play him.
Oh my god!
But I think that was most people's first character.
Yeah.
You know.
Oh yeah.
I actually really enjoyed in Traveler the first Traveler the character creation thing where you had a chance of dying during character creation. There's actually a little story that you could build on all those little characters that died. It was really I enjoyed it.
We got into Traveler through one of those ads in the back of Dragon magazine. Oh look at this!
I have
it's cool.
no idea where my Traveler books are. Anyway,
they're pretty cheap still.
I know where mine
Buy
are.
'em.
Mine are in that insurance report from the flood. That's where they're at.
Oh,
The GDW Traveler books are actually not super crazy priced secondhand. At least they weren't when I got this.
Yeah.
Yeah, we played Traveler, didn't we, Kent?
Just a little bit.
Yeah.
We mostly just stuck with the ending.
What was the other one that came out? Was it Space Opera? Is that right?
Space Opera was a game.
Yeah.
You
that
kept
was
buying RPGs, Davis, but I didn't want to play them. We were already playing AD&D, and I didn't see any reason to switch.
Yeah, I think I played with Tomas.
You never saw a reason to switch. Come on, let's face it. Other than Gamma World.
Steven, you are like the friends that I have today. I'm like, hey, I work for this company that produces a game called Castles and Crusades. And they're like, but I already play Dungeons and Dragons. Why do I need to learn anything new?
No.
I just...
That's funny.
Yeah. No, Kent was like that until 2006.
Yeah. That's when I finally switched. 2 years after we were publishing CNC, I switched to CNC.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, look, damn it, we're not going to run the company no more if you don't play the damn game.
You got to put your money where your mouth is.
Yeah.
Mac and Davis said, we're not going to let you DM anymore if you don't at least run CNC once. If you don't like it, that's fine. You go back to AD&D. So I ran it.
Here it comes. Bam! And there we go. Greatest game ever.
I loved it. And I hadn't picked up an AD&D book since, other than to make a reference to it when Jeremy and I are talking about monsters.
Yeah.
So DM John
what did you
says...
say? You said something absurd. Oh, you talked about a saving throw versus death. I was like, that's not a thing.
Oh.
Okay.
So DM John says...
had a question.
He says, I remember
Go ahead,
DMing 1E way back in the day. Finally, the party wizard reached 5th level and learned Fireball. For the first time he cast it, he couldn't see the size of the room he was casting it. Oh, I love this already. And it was smaller than the volume of the spell, so the flame surged out into the hallway and roasted the other 6 pieces in the group, stopping a foot in front of the wizard. Everyone just looked at the player who just said, oops. That's awesome. Sorry. That's kind of what I was talking about a while ago, John. He didn't understand. And, well, anyway, don't mess with the magic. Yeah, there was a question here from Barrett. Go ahead. Sorry.
That step up from 4th to 5th level is nuts.
It's huge. It's huge in any game, pretty much.
Yeah.
Brack asked, so how many times have y'all resurrected a player because their death didn't fit your campaign? Never.
What was the question?
never.
How many times have you resurrected? How many times have you resurrected a player because their death didn't fit your campaign?
Oh.
I've never done that.
Never.
Typically, if they die in my campaign, it's...
Yeah, I don't. I did once back in the 80s, the big game, the Codex Verde game, got so derailed. I mean, it was unimaginable. And in those days, we were playing 3 times a week, sometimes 15 to 16 hours in a stretch. But that game got so derailed that I showed up at the next session or whatever. I said, all right, that was a dream sequence. We're going to respect this a little bit because it was a disaster. And I gave it all to Ariok. Ariok caused all of this chaos and stuff. But
wait, wasn't he with in Elric series. Oh wait,
Elric.
that's a different one. Laramie Wall says, I often tell players to make a save versus death. While they're confused, I sort out what I'm trying to sort out. I'm only using it as a stall. That's beautiful, Laramie. That's good. That's a
That's
good one.
amazing.
That's good.
I will say,
That's great.
I've never, I don't think I've ever resurrected a character, but I have
I'm
had
sure
a
they
party.
have.
I have had a party. I have had a party member die several months ago, and then the rest of the party suffered a TPK. And then I was like, well, these people just go around and kill indiscriminately. So you all wake up in hell. They all wake up. They all woke up next to the River Styx.
That's
They're
great.
like, "Where are we? This is awful." They wandered around for a while,
I never
and
thought
then
about doing
they ran into that player that
Oh.
died several months prior, and he's like,
Oh,
"This
that's
is
it.
awful. Get me out of here." And
That's
the
it.
player came back to play him, and
really?
they got him out, and he came back and joined the group.
Wow, that's
So-
cool. That's cool.
So he wasn't resurrected per se. They just happened to run into it.
All right, I got room for
Did
one.
he change like the way he played to be a better person?
No, he was much more timid.
Okay.
I bet he was.
No, that-
I've
He
got.
was, he
you
was also like-
you scarred him. For
this was
life.
Yeah.
the same. This was the same halfling, by the way.
Oh.
All right, we got one more question, then we got to switch over because I want to get the final bit of this done. Last question of the night from Torlock72. What's the story behind the old Troll Lords logo? The one in the patch there.
Oh. I want to bring
so-
it back.
Matt Golden was Davis and myself and Matt Golden founded the company in 1999, and Mac immediately began sketching logos. I got the original sheet somewhere in this desk of whatever, and he did I think about 20 different logos, and that one just leaped off the page. And he had hired Jason Walton to do 3 covers for us. So we hired Jason to draw that troll and put it in there. I don't know. When I saw it, I just fell in love with that thing. So I don't know about Davis, but we picked it immediately. And interestingly enough, we had no money. We to start the company, we used Davis's Ford Explorer as collateral at the bank, and got a loan for $10,000. We all 3 co-signed it. So, and most of our money was going to Gen Con, getting these books printed and all that BS.
You got
But my wife-
$10,000.
Yes.
Wow.
But it was easier in those days.
I guess in 1999 the economy was doing pretty good.
Yeah, well, not until 2008. I can't remember what special event happened in 2008. Banking was different pre-08 as opposed to post-08.
Yeah.
It was just, you could actually know your banker and say, they knew who you were. So, yeah, we know you're good for it. Just give it a little. Because Davis's Explorer had 200,000 miles on it. Wasn't worth,
Nice.
Probably wasn't
$2,000.
worth $900, but
Yeah, especially the way he treated it. I mean, he had dismantled most of the interior so he could live in it while he was archaeologizing.
Oh my gosh.
I'll
This is
never
awesome.
forget sitting in that Explorer with Davis, and he was lighting his cigarette, and he dropped it into the the console between the seats. And Mel, you might want to cover your ears. You're not going to want to hear this, but he grabbed that plastic thing and that's over the emergency gear shift, and he just ripped it off, threw it in the back, and got his cigarette out. And started. So the car
Destroyed the
wasn't,
center console.
it wasn't in great shape, but anyway, so my wife actually took that logo secretly down to Arkansas Flag and Banner that we still use to this day, and had that giant banner that you see us post in pictures every now and then.
Oh,
Very
okay.
cool.
Well, that's a good question. All right, so let's get to the end of the show here because we got to wrap it up in a minute. We have a quick.
That's the last of the Explorer right
that's
there.
the last of the Explorer. I've never.
Oh
met
my
that.
God.
I love that
Seriously?
movie so much. Yes, I loved it.
I love you, Gear Shift knob. Anyway,
Dude,
Bring
I
that to
love
Garrett Con.
stuff.
Put it on the table.
so the question that was been presented to us tonight is there an event or a battle that continues to be very memorable to you when playing or jamming a game? So we saved Steve's and Davis' replies to last because they both wrote down on a piece of paper the most memorable event like this. And now they want to compare and see which one, if they match or not. So let's just do this. Just pass me the paper. Oh wait, we can't do that, can we?
Yeah.
Here, can I don't. Here, I'm gonna have to write.
I don't know if I spelled it correctly, have the names correct, but you'll know who I'm talking about as soon as I put it up.
Are you gonna put it up? You gonna hold up the screen?
There.
All right, Steve's is
Or
Conan.
painted Eomar. Yes.
We're playing an EMR.
Is it
Yes.
the same one? It's the same story?
Yes, it's the exact
same story.
Wow.
It-
Okay.
It was one of the best nights of DMing, and we played
Oh yeah.
D&D at the time. It was one of the best games, and it was just you and me.
Yep. You want me to tell it, or do you want to?
Yeah,
tell
you
it?
go ahead and tell it. No, but it was one of
This
the
is-
best DMing moments I ever had.
This is going to be circa 1978, 77, something like that.
Yeah.
Davis was just merging the little brown books with the AD&D stuff. I know we had the Monsters and Treasure. I don't know what else was out. I have no idea. Doesn't matter. And I'd already gone through easily 100 characters killed, easily, as we were figuring out what this game is. But at this point, I had a character who, and it was just me and Davis playing, so I would hire a bunch of henchmen. We used the living hell out of those henchmen. That's why you see Davis work so much on NPCs, and in the CKG, I wrote
that makes sense. Okay.
Yeah, because the henchmen were huge in those days for Davis. A nice game. So I had 6 henchmen. I had my character's name was Corthane, and then I had a henchman Eomer, and then I can't remember the others, but it was a dwarf, a wizard, a rogue, and a cleric, and someone else, something I can't remember. They were all first level. So we've been adventuring. We've been playing a lot, and I had made 2nd level. I remember that. Speaking of characters dying, Eomer had died, and I had given up my +1 sword to have him resurrected.
Oh.
So I had brought Eomer back to life, and I think he had just made 2nd level. But anyways, he and I are on war horses, and everybody else is on mules or ponies or what have you. And we were traveling in this kind of caravan. I know we had a couple of pack mules too, because we were on some long ass adventure. I can't begin to remember what. When this band of orcs comes over the lip of the valley in the front and starts forming up into a square. Now, at this point, Davis is starting to really bring tactics to the table and running things a little bit more dangerously than just a slaughter fest before. So I move my 2 characters forward to guard the guys that are on foot behind me. And even as I do that, a couple of groups of orcs on either side of the valley, left and right, come out. So only like 7 or 8, maybe 10 on either side. So another 20 odd orcs. So now I'm kind of screwed. I've got to do something. But I decide to break up and kill the leader while my henchmen gather in some kind of band in the middle to defend themselves. And me and my NPC charge forward, plowed right through it. Eomer he goes down, gets knocked off his horse. I get through the orcs, and I can turn around. I can see at this point my henchmen are getting attacked. It's all fixing to unravel. But I turn around and I ride back into the troop of orcs. I rescue Eomer, get him back on his horse. And as we're riding out, my character goes down off of the horse. Eomer breaks through, goes back into it to save me. And I remember his horse, I think, gets killed at that point.
Yeah.
And one of the 2 of the henchmen are already dead. Eomer goes down, or his horse goes down. I refuse to leave him. I dismount, stand next to him, and fight this horde of orcs until Eomer dies. Then I die. All of my henchmen died, except I think the wizard managed to run. One of them managed to run off or fake his own death. Or
because see, you were playing all the henchmen as well. I would just all I did was write up their personalities and give them their stats and everything, then give them to you to play.
Right.
And I would only put the
made
brakes
most
on
of my characters in those days.
Yeah, and I would only put the brakes on it when it was like that's out of his character, or they would have to make morale checks. So those morale things always came in. We used the morale charts.
You were bringing everything to the table in those days.
So,
I remember it.
I think it was the monk that got away.
Oh yeah, there was a monk. It was probably the monk.
Yeah,
it's always the monk. Always.
That started my hatred of monks, because he fled the battlefield.
Don't you hate
No,
assassins?
he didn't flee the battlefield. He was he got cut off at the back, right? So he's fighting, and then he sees this group on the hill, and he says, like, I'm done. I'm going to kill these guys up here on the hill and then come back. And by the time he gets up to the hill and kills, like, it was just 3 of them. And then he turns around to come back. And that's when your character gets killed. That's in the moment the axe or the sword goes through your character.
I will say 2 things about that. Someone said, I thought Davis didn't give magic items. In those days, he was still kind of learning the ropes, and it started to get thinner and thinner and thinner as the years progressed. It wasn't until the late 80s that you got no treasure from Davis whatsoever. That's the first thing. Second thing is I got the last laugh because when I published the Codex Verde, I made Corthane the main god, the justice.
Are you kidding me? Wow. That's hilarious. All right, so we're going to switch over here and do some giveaways real quick. If you are following us over on Facebook or YouTube, you'll have to join us over here. I put the link in there just a minute ago. If you give you just a second, I'll go ahead and start these giveaways off. I want to thank everybody for coming out and hanging out with us. This has been a very pleasurable afternoon, evening, and we couldn't do it without you guys, honestly. To be honest with you. There's no waffles. Sorry, Laramie. It's all over with. All right, we're gonna do a couple of $15. Now, disclaimer before I pull these names. The website is pretty much messed up right now. So if you go on there to try to use a code tonight, it may not work. You may not even be able to get on. But rest assured, when the website is back up and running as normal, it will work. So, no. Or if not, you can reach out to Scott or me. We'll get you straightened out. All right, the first winner for $15 is $15 code is going to be. It's not telling me over here anymore. I have to look at the stream now to see who it is. Oh, Touch of Evil. You won the other day. I remember that. Excellent. Excellent. The next one up is Johnny. You're funny. For $15 is going to be. Who is that? Can't see. Oh, Doug. Doug Mars. Awesome. Dude, that's killer. I'm glad you won. That's awesome. Doug's a big hyper GM CK. And then our last winner for $25 will be. Who is it? I can't see who it is. Chaos Works. Awesome. So if you guys just follow that link right there to the Discord, you can hit up Obsidian Risk. He's our community member on the right-hand side at the top. He'll get your code. You can just private message him. If you can't find him or whatever, you can also tag him. Just add his name. Or you can ask someone in the chat. We'll get you fixed out over there. It's a good bunch of people over in the Discord. Yes, congrats to all the winners. That's awesome. Very nice. Very nice. Before we get out of here, I'm going to set up a raid. We're going to raid in and see. Let me see if on my list here. I've got a list of people. We're going to raid into Phantom, New Jersey tonight. And let me see. Let me get him straightened out here. And while he's doing that, he looks like he's doing. He loves Castle Crusades. His show tonight is what do you need to play Castles and Crusades. So we'll go over and bug him in a little bit. You guys can give him some follows and howdies and all that good stuff. Before I set this raid up there, I do want to say one thing. I'm going to start doing this on my streams when I remember. And I remember tonight. I want to start giving out a memorable quote at the end of each stream of what I saw through the chat during the night, right? Yeah, but I mean, yeah, Steve's right. You never know, right? You never know what's going to happen. you just don't know, right? But for tonight's stream, it's going to go to, and it should be probably since I've not been doing this before. We'll do it the right way here. Let me get this in here. I think this is the right one. No, it's a good thing I checked because I would have rated someone else, and that would have been ugly. Maybe.
So this is the company group chat, right? Is that what you're referencing?
Yes.
Quote from that?
No. This is from here tonight. This is from one of the viewers. Oh. It's from Rick Montel.
You were in chat.
And since Rick Montel, and no, I won't do chat. There's no way. Rick Montel
he's gonna post that quote about mandrills ripping off genitals.
No, what? I didn't see that. Really? We'll talk about that later. But anyway, so Rick's got a tie. I can't pick between the two, so I'm gonna read them both off. Okay. First one is, and I'm not going to say who this is about, but these are always about Steve, or Davis. Says, or me. So 100 D&D characters, and they're all named Tarzan. That right there just flew off. But this is the best one. This is the best one. When Davis was kind of defending about how, Kent ran all the henchmen, right? Tyler says, in his early gaming years, Steve's only friends were NPCs. And that right there that's brutal. Is gold. That is gold. That's exactly right. Okay.
That was my late 20s.
Was it? Late 20s. Oh my God. You're making us feel old, Mel.
I mean, I feel old.
Okay. It is working. I can see it now. All right, we're gonna get out of here. You guys all have a great, wonderful weekend. I will be off this weekend, so with Jingo, we will have no games this weekend, so we'll see you guys maybe Monday for Grace's stream, right? So come by and see us. Saturday. All right. Have a great, you can't sleep in. Have a great weekend, everybody.
Out. Watch Doom.
Thank you, everybody.
Watch Doom.